Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and today we're reading Saturnastra Nalini. This is Chapter 8, Part 1, Metamorphosis. When Vaikus awoke me, the sun was just starting to rise, and we could hardly see the sun. A thin mist was seeping from the forest. I forgot to put on that. Whatever.
Don't worry about that.
It slowly made its way around the town, making it impossible for one to see at arm's length. Many of my fairy friends too were wide awake, and they were crowding by the window trying to see something. Something about the mist left them quite unnerved, and I resolved to not linger any longer. And when I stepped outside the inn, I closed my eyes. I focused all of my senses on my surroundings. In no time, I sensed two very foolish elf assassins coming crawling our way. And I said to them, "Really, is this the best your fools can offer?" The elves too felt that this was indeed an exercise in futility. Still, they needed an excuse to get out of the elf forest. In a nonchalant fashion, an elf you said, "Aho, Nalini, we were wondering if we could travel with you." An elf girl identical to the first also emerged from the mist, and this one was carrying both their luggage. And based on the story, these elf twins had left their home under the pretense of coming to kill me. Their family had told them not to bother, that fighting me would mean their death, and they had plans never to return to the elf forest for one reason or another. The main reason being that someone had tipped them off that they would be sacrificed in the next second birth ritual. And this was the lie they gave me, and I didn't feel like disposing of them. And frankly, the male twin had lied, and he loved his sister in a Greek sort of fashion. And when he heard she got engaged, he made up the whole second birth ritual story, and I thought them to be rather creepy. After hearing the lies, I said, all right, we travel by dark, the roads are treacherous, and stay alert." In a happy tone, the twins followed behind me, and since they had left in a hurry, they had only bothered to pack their bows and quivers and as many arrows as they could find. For food, they had emptied their family, so they had taken some of their family's winter reserves. Their brother was called Armin, and his sister was Casimir. When I call them boy and girl, I use the terms loosely. Both were already full-grown elves. However, at the tender age of 24, they were considered children among their kin. And judging by Armin's foolishness, I must admit that they still had a childlike mentality, and I thought it was all for the better, and I suspected that only the elves born after Bersame took over would be brave enough to venture the elven forest into the great unknown. Our group walked within the mist for a few hours, and around noon the mist cleared up, and going by foot seemed like it would take a long time to travel, and I calculated that at our pace we would arrive at Nemorensis in about a year or two. And we sat down beside the dusty road while we ate, while we ate, we saw a caravan of knights passing by us, and they had haggard expressions, and their polished metal armors had many cracks and notches, and their lances hung limply against their shoulders, and many were beads in a limper tube, and a number of them lay lifeless inside carts. These soldiers smelled of ash, blood, and death. The twins gulped when they saw the passing army, and Amir was having second thoughts about leaving home, and he abhorred the thought of exposing his sister to needless danger because of his selfishness. And seeing them disconcerted, I said calmly, "Don't worry, I'll protect you." After reassuring them, we continued to watch that caravan of death, and trailing behind the knights were women and children, and they all wore ragged clothing, and the riches of the lot rode on horseback or mules. Still, they all carried the same dirt and grime from the road, and it seemed as if they had been displaced, and one of the little children who passed by pointed at us and said, "Mommy, look, elves!" The child's mother was too concerned with feeding her baby to pay attention to the other kid, and in her usual stern voice, my friend Crimson Rose said, another town has been destroyed." Cersei's Blue said nothing. He simply exchanged glances with Vaikus, and the only sound we heard was made by the tired walking of a wounded army escorting a bunch of refugees. And when they passed by, we continued to walk in the direction that they had come from. When we spent the night on a hill overlooking a burning city, and the smoke rose to the sky and blocked out the moonlight. Indeed, it was pitch black. It was a pitch black night, and the only source of light came from the burning city. And since we were sleeping outside, I stayed awake to keep watch. And Vaikus and Rose stayed awake as well, and from time to time a cool breeze would pass by. And the beast carried with it the scent of flowers from the elf forest we had just left. Time, bro?
9 minutes.
Vaikus' presence started resonating with the town, and the silence of death was giving him new vitality, and slowly his silence crept to the borders of the town, and little by little the fire and other noises started to die, and everything was peaceful as a grave. And when the smoke parted, I was able to see the raiders still inside the town, and they were packing up the loot to return to their homes, and the sudden darkness, coupled by the eerie silence, had unnerved even the bravest among them. Their boss, their leader then told his troops, "Worry not, man or demon, we will feel whatever assails us." In a high-pitched voice that hid his nervousness, he yelled, "Show yourself, nameless spawn. Your true nature you cannot hide from us." Vaikus said nothing in response, and one of his men said below his breath, "At times like this, I wish we had a pet wizard." Again the man called out at the darkness, and being silent, Vaikus chose to remain silent, and the leader recognized that there was a presence in the silence, but he could not do anything about it. So the soldiers decided to ignore the odd silence, and they carried with them whatever wasn't nailed to the floor, and they left in the direction of Verageddon, home of the berserkers. For the following weeks we kept running into destroyed towns, and it seemed as if Bersamen had gone on another killing frenzy, or maybe a lot of fools had worked out the courage to try to overthrow him. After a month's journey, we found the first city in one piece. Based on an intel, the city belonged to the Countess Madeline the Affluent, and apparently she was a relative of Bersamen. How she was related to Bersamen was a subject of much debate. Still, the city was not surrounded by walls, and it only had 4 dragon towers at each of the borders of the city. And the dragon towers faced each of the cardinal points, and it had a center tower in the middle, designed after a chimera. My group debated much on whether we should enter the city, and much to their annoyance, I decided that we should venture in. It does not take a genius to realize that my motley crew of 6 fairies, 2 elves, and a weird kid stood out. And much to our luck, the circus was in town, and in every street we saw clown gestures and other weirdos, so we blended in well among them. We even saw a large flock of giggling fairies flying through the intersection, and when the citizens saw us, they naturally assumed that we were part of the show. And at the center of the town, below the shadow of the Chimera Tower, a stage was being chiefly constructed, and everything was merriment and celebration, and the twins were enchanted by the sights and sounds that they had never seen, and they never imagined that a human town would be so lively and loud. One of the circus freaks, a puma-looking guy dressed in a white clown period suit, with a red ball nose, who was managing an ice cream stand, and Amir was looking at the tree with a longing expression, and he simply regretted not taking any money with him. And Kashmir, who was more sensible of the twins, had emptied out her family vault, and knowing that Amir was an impulsive buyer, she had resolved to hide the fact that they indeed had money. So the twins did have money, but the sensible twin was knew that was pretending that they had no money because he knew that her brother was impulsive buying. So, oh no, we can't afford the ice cream because we had no money, which we definitely do. Summoning a coin from behind her gold pouch, she bought a cone for her brother, filled with vanilla ice cream. He took a bite out of the ice cream, and he suffered a brain freeze. Kicking in her hands, she said, "You have to lick the ice cream, not bite it." I asked the Puma clan, "When is the show going to start?" In a peevish voice, he said, "Sundown." Buck inquired, "What's the show like?" Perrin, the Puma clown, thought a moment and said, "The usual acrobatic song, a classic, and 3 new plays written by a new director. I know nothing else. Supposed to be a big surprise for everyone. And they keep the big plot a secret. Nobody always brings in a new crowd." Buckeye insisted, "You at least know the title of the new shows." Yes, catchy titles all are good for catching audience," he said, giving a wide smile, revealing his sharp Puma teeth. His mind was filled with thoughts of dread, and after a brief pause he said, "The shows are titled Cassandra and the Seer, The Secret Game of Clive and Elrich, and The Battle of Versada, a tragedy in 5 acts." When I heard the title, I smiled to myself. Time, bro?
4 minutes, 30 seconds. Also, is it the Battle of Versada about a lizard?
Yeah.
Okay.
I realized that one of my sibling bones must be the new director, and those plays were stories that our mother used to tell us, and I was sad to see their rustic medieval versions. And before night fell, we got rooms at an inn near the theater, and I had to play my flute to get the master's suite, and commoners never had access to the suites since they were reserved for noblemen. And the bedroom had a large rococo design, and every day had a flowery pattern, and even the closet had new freshly ironed clothing for both men and women. We decided to play the part, and Amir found an attire that made him look like the Blue Boy, and his sister found a blue frilly dress similar to the outfit worn by Marie Antoinette. And between the fairies and myself, I did Casimir's hair in the fashion that matched the luxury of the dresses. And back I stole from the nearby room some pearl necklaces, and I adorned Casimir's hair, and after 3 hours, I had dressed my elf strings like 2 little dolls. And as for me, I was never a fan of wearing luxury items, although I found them quite pleasing to the eye. And I simply willed my rose to take the form of a white dress, and the dress had short frilly sleeves that barely scraped the shoulders, and the thin skirt started below the chest and had 3 layers of transparent skirts over the delicate laces. And for consistency's purposes, I wore two white little girl shoes Vaikus had acquired from another empty suite. Time, bro?
2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Speaking of Vaikus did not join us in his human form. Instead, he took the form of an ominous black falcon, and he perched himself inside the lion's mouth at top of the Chimera Tower. It did not take him long to change from this location. Something about the realism of the Canas deeply unnerved him, and with our new cousin, we gracefully descended the stairs, and the 6 fairies carried the ends of Casimir's dress. And as we walked outside, everyone turned to look at the pair of twin elves and the cute little human companion, and they wondered strangely why I was walking ahead of them, and they naturally concluded that the elves were my finely dressed servants, or something like it. This was further complemented by the diffident look they gave me whenever I spoke. Time, bro?
2 minutes.
We made our way to the front of the stage, and seeing that we were high class, the theater owner, a gorilla-looking man dressed in a frock coat, beckoned us to one of the private booths. The booth had a lovely cushioned chairs and an ottoman, and since we were a party of 3 plus 6 pets, we had to share a booth with some of the other noblemen. And within we saw a cute couple dressed in fancy clothing, and I'm not going to bother to go into detail about them, since we ignore each other's presence, as it is common about noblemen who do not know each other. The curtain rose and the shows began. During the seer soliloquy, I became aware of some disturbing occurrences, and my mind wandered back towards the cemetery, and Vaikus too was observing the commotion. And several men dressed in black were digging up the graveyards, and they had several lookouts stationed a few blocks away from the cemetery. And these lookouts were irrelevant, since practically everyone in the town had left to see the performance. Still, they were stationed there just in case. And with much care, the screen harvesters obtained cloths, hair, and cuttings, and other things from the grateful dead. And another times, a spirit of the recently deceased left of his own accord, and after they finished the green task, these grave robbers took care to return the dirt to its rightful location. Time, bro?
Less than a minute.
And using magic, they made the grass prodigal, and no one would ever guess that the graveyards had been looted by necromancers. Alright, we'll leave this one here. Bye bye.